So for the millionth time, I've just reorganized my shelves. And I thought that since I haven't put the figures back on, well, there's one figure, it might be nice to kind of go through some of this stuff. So, yeah, this arrived the other day. I love this. This is the art of Marvel Studios. It has the art for Iron Man 2, Captain America, First Avenger, and Thor. These are just some DK guides to Captain America, Superman, and Doctor Strange. And How Comics Work by Tim Pilcher and Dave Gibbons. Then we've got Batman Digital Justice from the very early 90s. It's entirely done on a computer. Very weird. It's The Boys of Steel. It's about Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster. So we've got, these are the War Years books that collect their first couple issues and then the most prominent stuff they did during the Second World War for Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. This is weird. It's Batman Noir. So it's a black and white version of The Dark Knight Returns. And I picked this up on a whim. I don't even remember why, because at the time I hadn't finished the story. It's Reborn, Book 1 by Mark Miller and Greg Capullo. Invincible, The Ultimate Collection #1. I've only gotten a few issues into this. I like it so far, but I've heard that soon it's going to really flip on its head from where I am. Captain America White, which is part of the Colors series by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale. This was a really recent addition. This is Tom King's The Vision collection, which I'm halfway through. I was reading it in single trades, and then it was cheaper to get this than it was to buy the last trade, which is really weird. This is the first Marvel Zombies omnibus. And these three are really weird. They're in French, but it's Kingdom Come in French, Superman's Secret Identity in French, and The Killing Joke in French. I picked these up a couple years ago, actually. Solo, which was I think they took a bunch of writers and a bunch of artists and told them they could do anything with the characters from any decade, anything they wanted. Since this is falling off this top, this is Something Terrible by Dean Tripp. You can get that on the digital copy online on his website, but I had to have a physical copy. This is the 20th anniversary of Kingdom Come. I love this story, such a classic, by Mark Waid and Alex Ross. This top shelf's mostly all deluxes. This is Superman for All Seasons. Love this story once again by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale. I love them as a creative team. This is one of my favourite stories, Superman's Secret Identity by Kurt Busiek and Stuart Immonen. I probably mispronounced that. Absolute classic, Superman vs. Muhammad Ali. This, Batman the Killing Joke, which is cool. Lay down here. Which I have signed by Brian Bolland, who was a lovely guy. He was very great to meet. And trying to do this one-handed is very hard. Batman Year 1, Batman Year 2. Batman Year 2 I surprisingly liked. I read it the other week. I was told I would either love it or hate it. I thought it was alright. Batman Noel. Whatever Happened to the Caped Crusader. This is on its own because the other two volumes are in paperback, but this is Batman and Robin #3 by Grant Morrison. Shazam! The New Beginning, the 30th Anniversary Deluxe Edition. I'm getting into the Rebirth stuff. DC Universe Rebirth, the Deluxe Edition. Superman Rebirth Deluxe Edition, 2 Action Comics. Batman Rebirth #1. Detective Comics #1. Wonder Woman #1. The Flash #1. The only one I've got a second volume of is here. I'm looking forward to getting the second Superman one. There's a Flowers for Algernon book, but that's just there to remind me where it is because it's for a friend. Right up here I've got Filmish, which is basically a comic book history of films, and it's really enjoyable. Here we've got, come on camera. This is the Golden Age Volumes 2 for both the All Winners and the Submariner. I have them because a comic book shop in town that wasn't particularly good had them in the bargain bin for $5, and they're supposed to be 30 quid. This is missing its cover, but I got it that way. It's The Fourth World Omnibus, Part 1 by Jack Kirby. I got this a couple years ago for my birthday. I picked it up really cheap because it was missing its dust cover. Numbers 2 and 3 of Tomasi and Gleason's Batman and Robin. The Joker, Death of the Family. This is a magazine copy of 0 Year Number 1. Joker Endgame, Batman Super Heavy. Forever Evil collection, which does not have the tie-ins, so I've never read the tie-ins for this. Batgirl number 3, Death of the Family. This was something, and my original camera decided to go pretty weird, so I've switched to this one. As I was saying, this was picked up for me by family when they went away, and they just saw the cover and thought I would really like it. It's just like Joker standing over Batgirl. DC Universe by Mike Mignola, the Superman Reborn story. I rather enjoyed this. I thought it could be better, but it was still pretty good. It's a bird. I adore these two. I adore because they are not so much stories with superheroes, but stories about superheroes and how they impacted the writer. Superman American Alien. Great story. It's Kryptonite Nevermore. Classic. This is the only way I could get John Byrne's Man of Steel. But I read through that the other day. I really liked it. Son of Superman, an Elseworld story. Kind of weird. Kryptonite by Darwin Cook and Tim Sale. Superman Infinite City. 2 volumes of Grounded. 3 volumes of Superman Earth 1, although the second one is in paperback just to annoy me. And 2 volumes of Batman Earth 1. And a volume of Wonder Woman Earth 1, which I did not enjoy at all, and there's now a second one coming out, and I'm kind of on the fence about it. This is just a cheap hardcover for Hush Part 1 I got just because it was cheap. Batman 66 meets the Man from U.N.C.L.E. Legacies. Captain America Man at a Time. Spider-Man Blue, this is another one of the colors lot from Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale. I adore this story. I think there's it's that ending bit where MJ just says say hi to Gwen for me. That really makes me smile. This is another cheap magazine one, but it's Alan Moore's Captain Britain run, which I found in, I guess you guys would call it Walmart in America. It's Asda over here in England. This is the first of the Mighty Thor run with Jane Foster. These are Stephen King's Dark Tower, first 2 volumes, but I have them signed by Robin Firth, and because of the weird angle I'm at just to see these, pulling them out is not that easy while still holding the camera. First volume of American Vampire, the Marvel Man classic stuff. These were the first things released in England. All 3 volumes of Alan Moore's Miracle Man and the Neil Gaiman one. Nemo, Heart of Ice and A Disease of Language by Alan Moore. First volume of Bendis' Guardians of the Galaxy. This is actually in Spanish, Civil War Spider-Man. Family went on holiday, brought it me back. A couple cheap Marvel trade hardcovers from magazines. One is Captain Marvel, the other is Sue Storm, The Invisible Girl. Another cheap one, but Star Trek Countdown. And now we're moving all the way down here, where I have this little Thanos waiting for some reason. Hi, Thanos. Another cheap one. Star Trek The Edge of the Galaxy. The first volume of Buffy the Vampire Slayer Season 8, The Long Way Home. The X-Files Conspiracy. The Tale of One Bad Rat. I really enjoyed this. It's just one I think people should go out and read. It's not superhero related or anything like that. Ricky Rouse Has a Gun. This thing is massive. Right, into a couple of rebirths. The first volume of All-Star Batman by Scott Snyder and, what's his name? John Romita Jr. 2 volumes of Teen Titans. I didn't think I would like this, but I surprisingly did. The Darwin Cook's New Frontier. First volume of Superman the Golden Age. I've got so many copies of Action Comics #1 in various prints, it's ridiculous. Silver Age World's Finest. This is a lot of fun. This is really a lot of fun. Volumes, what are they? 3 and 5 of Superman Chronicles. These I just pick up whenever I go to Forbidden Planet because they're usually in like the £2 section. Superman vs. Shazam. This is like the 70s stuff when they meet. It's a really interesting story. The New Teen Titans by Wolfman and Perez, Volume 1. Superman Batman. This is Jeff Loeb stuff, Volume 1. Crisis on Infinite Earths, Identity Crisis, Final Crisis. I'm missing Infinite Crisis, and like 0 Hour and a few other things. Blackest Night, which I'm currently reading through. It's only on the shelf just so I could make room for them. It was on my desk. Flashpoint, The Many Worlds of Krypton. This is actually really interesting to read so far. Adventures of Nightwing and Flamebird. It's actually where Nightwing got his name from. Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow by Alan Moore. I love that story. This is a little tiny one here. Superman and the Earth Stealers. The Death of Superman. I'm missing the rest of the series. I really need to. This is just, if I can get it out, because I'm an idiot. I am an idiot. Yeah, that's a weird photo of a kid, but it'll make sense when I turn it around. Okay, this is, like, the issue where he comes back from the dead. And it was thick enough for me to put it on there as a trade. And this is the wedding album from when Clark and Lois finally did get married, which was delayed so they could do the Death of Superman, but it was only delayed because of the stupid TV show. I say stupid because, I don't know, I haven't seen it. I haven't been able to make up my mind on it. This is just Superman Forever, and it was thick enough to put on the shelf as a trade, so it does have a cheesy Gap advert on the back from the 90s. But I love that Alex Ross cover. Oh, now I gotta put it back in. Why did I do these things? Why do I do these things? I make life so much more difficult for myself. I'll put them back later, when they're not falling down. Superman, Secret Origin by Jeff Jones and Gary Frank. Another copy of For All Seasons. Birthright, I really like Birthright. Mon-El Volume 1. Last Son of Krypton was one of the first Superman stories I sat and read. Before that, I'd read like single issues in British reprints, and that was about it. First volume of Superman for Tomorrow. Slight confession, I hate how Jim Lee draws Superman. And I can't explain why. I've been trying to pinpoint what it is. I think it's the face. I think there's something about the face. I don't know why. Classic, All-Star Superman. Superman, Lois and Clark. This was really enjoyable too. Adventures of Supergirl, which I have signed by Emma Viacelli. First volume of Supergirl Being Human. This is my heavily battered and trashed copy of Batman The Dark Knight Returns, which I need to replace. I don't know if it shows up on camera, but let's just say there were some members of my family that weren't too happy with the fact that I read, let alone the fact that I read comics. So I found it the next day, kind of battered against a wall. This is why I don't take comics up north. Batman Year One. 2 copies of that, 2 different covers. Just because I liked the 2 different covers. Arkham Asylum, A Serious House on Serious Earth. The Cult. Adore this book. It's so strange. A Death in the Family, Haunted Night, The Long Halloween, Dark Victory, Joker Devil's Advocate, see this is the full volume of Hush, Batman and Son, which does not include the Black Glove, which was really frustrating. Let's try other methods of reading it, which involve tracking down a load of single issues in my cupboard that I read as a kid that happened to have the ones I was missing. Batman R.I.P. and Here's What I Mean, here's volume 1 and 2 of Batman and Robin by Grant Morrison. The Return of Bruce Wayne, Cacophony, All-Star Batman and Robin. Of course they're to be next to each other. Batman Black and White, this is really there's a couple stories from this that have always stuck with me, but I never want to, I kind of just want to, every time I try to explain it, I end up giving away what I love about it, and I would rather people just experience it, so pick up the first volume of this, because there's a load of stories in there that just really hit me. Not like emotionally, just like ones that have stuck with me that I can't shake. This is Dave Gibbons' World's Finest. These 2 are the Batman and Judge Dredd ones. Vendetta in Gotham and The Ultimate Riddle. Superman Shazam First Thunder. Superman Red Sun, another issue of Kingdom Come. Superman Metropolis, which I really like. I wrote an article on that not long ago. Superman Speeding Bullet, Superman Secret Identity, 2 issues of Batman Creature of the Night, which I can't wait for the 3rd one to finally come out. Batman and Dracula Red Rain, Batman: The Brotherhood of the Bat, Elseworld's Finest, Batman 66: The Lost Episode, Batman: Court of Owls, City of Owls, Death of the Family, second volume of Zero Year, that's why the other one's up there on its own. Batman and Robin: Born to Kill, Batman Detective Comics: Faces of Death, Action Comics: Superman and the Men of Steel, Wonder Woman: Blood, Superboy: Incubation. Now here's weird, here is the broken shelf, and you can see why, because it's up an extra one compared to everything else. Oh yeah, I have ones on top of here I'd forgotten about. I'll put you guys back when I'm done. The New 52, Shazam, Batman, Superman, Crossworld, Light Brigade, Watchmen. Before Watchmen, Minuteman, Silk Spectre, V for Vendetta, and book 5 of Swamp Thing. I need to get the rest. Right, I have all the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen stuff up to the end of the Century ones, but you'll see one's missing here, and I'll get to that in a minute. But Volume 1, the Black Dossier, and then the 1910, 1969, and 2009. There's Top 10, there's Neonomicon. Here is my 3 little Star Wars books. Skywalker Strikes, Darth Vader #1, and Princess Leia. Marvel 1985, which was really enjoyable. Marvels by Kurt Busiek and Alex Ross. Earth X, which is really weird. Infinity Gauntlet. House of M, Spider-Man, Civil War Wolverine. So this is how you can tell I bought this as a kid, because it was a Wolverine book. World War Hulk, Secret Invasion, Siege, Shadowland, Fear Itself, Homefront, Ghost Rider, Fear Itself, Avengers vs. X-Men, Death of X, Inhumanity, Original Sin, Operation Sin Agent Carter, Avengers and X-Men Axis, Guardians of the Galaxy and X-Men The Black Vortex, Secret Wars, the Jonathan Hickman one, and Civil War 2. I like to keep my Marvel events in one place, but as you can see, I am missing some. I need to get some more. A lot of these I got from a friend, actually. If you see one of these looking books, it's most likely come from a friend. Quite a few of these I can point out and say, no, I bought that. Like, I bought these two, this one, and this one. Most of these are from a friend. Oh, and I brought Avengers vs. X-Men. But I brought that, like, just as it came out. Transmetropolitan Volumes 1 and 2, Sandman, Preludes and Nocturnes. This is a Japanese copy of Death by Neil Gaiman, but it's signed by Mark Buckingham, who couldn't believe that I brought him over a Japanese copy of Death. He thought it was very weird. First 3 books of Preacher, first couple issues of Animal Man and Trade, first volume of The Invisibles, Punk Rock Jesus, Kick-Ass, Secret Service Kingsman, first 3 volumes of Sex Criminals, first volume of ODYC or Odyssey, first volume of Bitch Planet. Most of these are first volumes right now. So Bitch Planet, Fatale, Descenders, The Fix, Tokyo Ghost, Witches, I Hate Fairyland, another copy of Ricky Rouse, Understanding Comics, Reinventing Comics, both by Scott McCloud. If you're interested in studying the media, then definitely check these out. Twisted Dark, which I think I have signed by Neil Gibson, but it's at the end of this little area, so it's hard to get to. Invader Zim. 2 volumes of something called Alien Legion. This is a Battle of the Planet volume I got as a kid. Albion, which I have signed by Leah Moore, Alan Moore's daughter, who's lovely. I adore her. I think I've got the first 7 volumes of Ex Machina. I think the first 4 are up here, and the others are down here. Move you again, Thanos. Sorry, I just like bubbling his head. Then we've got the rest of the Buffy the Vampire Slayer season 8. See, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The Chronicles of Conan, Volume 1 by Roy Thomas. Marvel Platinum Collection for Spider-Man. Marvel Masterworks for The Amazing Spider-Man 62-63. This is a German copy of Spider-Man Blue. I just wanted to read the story, and the one that arrived was in German, so I had to re-buy it in hardcover. First volume of the classic Spider-Man 2099 stuff. Silk, The Life and Times of Cindy Moon. This I really enjoyed. I don't know why, I just really did, to the point that I got the next volume, Sinister. First 2 of Spider-Gwen. Spider-Man Miles Morales. 2 volumes of Spider-Man and Deadpool. These I've had since I was a little kid, since they came out roughly. So Ultimate Spider-Man, Volume of Venom, Carnage, Daredevil Yellow, Daredevil the Man Without Fear, 2 volumes of Daredevil Mark Waid, and this really annoyed me. I was looking for this volume, this one here, and it was just Daredevil Volume 2, okay, and this was the one that arrived from a separate run, but it's in Volume 2, and instead of sending it back, I thought, well, I'll get Volume 1 eventually. Jessica Jones Volume 1, Thor, the Goddess of Thunder, I nearly said the Goddess of Death, that movie's on my mind. Mighty Thor, Lords of Midgard, Loki, Agent of Asgard, Doctor Strange, The Doctor is Out, The Way of the Weird. This is a childhood classic. I had to try and find a copy of this, and it's battered and bruised because it came from a library. Miss Marvel, Volume 1, Champions, Change the World, Definitive Black Panther. Since Black Panther's all the rage right now, I much prefer the comics for Black Panther than I do the film. I wasn't thoroughly impressed by the film, but to each their own. Black Panther, A Nation Under Her Feet, I think that's the 3rd volume. It's one of those ones that randomly ended up in my library. Captain Marvel, Rise of Alpha Flight. Black Widow, Deadly Origin. Hawkeye, My Life as a Weapon. Winter Soldier, The Bitter March. We're getting into my little Deadpool section now. Deadpool, Dead Presidents, Too Soon. Secret Wars. Deadpool the Duck. The Mercs for Money, Avengers vs. X-Men, Deadpool vs. Carnage, which was very weird, Millionaire Without a Mouth, End of an Error, I love the error with error, Temporary Insanitation, Deadpool Does Shakespeare, which I left downstairs once, and let's just say a parent found very amusing. Guardians of Nowhere, this is my little Guardians of the Galaxy section. Guardians Assemble, Original Sin, Through the Looking Glass, Emperor Quill, Wanted, Guardians Assemble, Unlikely Story, and 2 Star-Lord volumes, Face It, I Rule, and Rise of the Black Vortex. Some Rocket Raccoon by Scotty Young, A Chasing Tale and Storyteller, Groot, which was a lot of fun. Grounded, and some Avengers stuff here. So Time Runs Out, Volume 3 and 4. I need 1 and 2, I'll get round to it eventually. Avengers Origins, Avengers Extinction, I can't pronounce that word on first go. Uncanny Avengers, Counter-Revolutionary, Civil War 2, The Man Who Fell to Earth, I keep thinking of the Bowie movie every time I see that. Lost Future, Family Business, Shield, Perfect Bullets, getting into some Claremont X-Men, Days of Future Past, God Loves, Man Kills, Phoenix Rising. These were some of the first trades I had as a kid. Wolverine, Enemy of the State, Volume 1 and 2. I've had them ever since. And there's a moment in here where Wolverine states that the only person he's scared of is the Invisible Woman. And I remember reading that as a kid and going, wait, what? And then she puts a force field around his lungs so he can't breathe. And I've kind of gone, okay, Sue Storm's a badass. Do not mess with Sue Storm. Wolverine Origins, Born in Blood, X-Men Bloodline, X-Haven, The Ultimate Adventure, One Down, Kingdom Falls, the last one there, yep. Hell Hath So Much Fury, The Utopians, which is the one where Bobby Drake comes out as gay. I did not realise I had this until like 3 days ago. 2 tie-ins to the Apocalypse Wars, but son, one is the all-new X-Men, the other is the Extraordinary X-Men. The Uncanny X-Men vs. S.H.I.E.L.D., Wolverine and the X-Men Regenesis, Inhumans Axis, and Lineage. And here's an interesting shelf. These are just some single issues. I have a lot more around the room, but these are the Rebirth ones I've managed to stop a friend of mine from borrowing. Borrowing. I haven't had them back in ages. The Sculptor by Scott McCloud, Munu, Black Hole, which is another Charles Burns. I say another Charles Burns book, I'm thinking of the top shelf and I haven't gotten to there yet. Diary of a Teenage Girl. It's a little manga around this shelf. I have a lot more manga than I do comics, but they're all currently in a cupboard and packed up because I haven't had time to figure out how to display them. This is Domu, all 6 volumes of Akira. A couple Appleseed by Shiro Masamune. I do have most of his other work, but it's on the other side of the room. Inhumans, Time Crash, Cyclops, Starstruck, Iron Man vs. Whiplash, Inhumans Genesis, Infamous Iron Man, Invincible Iron Man, and then 2 volumes of Magneto, then just some stuff from the Ultimate Universe. I don't know if you can see it tucked in here, but there's a little tiny Martial Law Takes Manhattan, which whenever a friend of mine sees, he just starts reading passages from it. The Elektra Saga by Frank Miller, Blue is the Warmest Color, first volume of Tank Girl, Cruisin' with the Hound, Congress of the Animals, which is told with no words at all. In fact, the back will tell you the entire story. It's written on the back. The Red Monkey Double Happiness book, which I don't know, the title has always intrigued me, and yet I haven't gotten around to actually reading it. Brit Sit Noir, The Complete Alan Moore Future Shocks. This is all like British comics here from 2000 AD. The Ballad of Halo Jones by Alan Moore, From Hell by Alan Moore. These are a couple of volumes from 2000 AD's kind of magazine series. This one is actually a hardcover copy of The Ballad of Halo Jones, which is this one. Oh, what are you? You are Alien, the Illustrated Story. It's a Dan Dare volume. This is from The Death of Superman. Let's keep it here. Valerian and Laureline, Volume 1. Brass Sun, another 2000 AD. First 2 volumes of Zenith from 2000 AD. This is Last Look, which is a collection of 3 books from Charles Burns that were one big saga. And this was really weird. This is a Judge Dredd magazine that had the first issue of Preacher in it. I took it to a convention, must be 2 years ago now, and I had it signed by Steve Dillon a couple months before he died. And it's kind of weird just to own this, because I didn't have my, I didn't have any trades of it when I had this. So I took this with me, and I've had this in a cupboard since I was really young. I was not really allowed to read this, it was just among stuff like I know I'd read someday. But yeah, it's weird. I'm hoping it goes back in okay. So that's all these shells. As you can tell, I haven't finished the rest of them, but there's a little Goku and Cell who just sat there quietly. I guess I could talk about up there some absolutes, although I will have to stand on my tippy toes. Alright, so that is Mr. Potato Head Iron Man. This was kind of the first absolute. It was by Paul Dini and Alex Ross. I think it was called The World's Greatest. It's an absolute Batman Dark Victory. That is the volume 2 of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Skin Deep by Charles Burns. That's how I discovered Charles Burns. A friend of mine gave me that with orders to never get rid of it. It's mine. Lost Girls. It's just a DC Cover Girls. That is another Dan Dare volume. That's Safari in Space. Sugar Skull is one of those Burns books that made up the, what was it called, Last Look. That was the first of Virgin Comics' Dan Dare run. How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way. The Lexicon of Comics. The Bind was another one. The Crystal Ballroom. I think that might actually be it. I think I may have read it at the end because the rest of them are kind of information books. Yeah. So that is my little library. Ever growing. But you guys might appreciate that. Bye.